Hi, good evening, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to Mind the Mental Monday. Can you all believe it's March already? I cannot believe that it's already March. But it's been a good, well, I am one who likes to think positively despite the things that might be going on. And so it's actually been a rough start to the new year, but we are surviving and will survive. So, and with these Mind the Mental Mondays, we are definitely going to make sure that we stay on par, mentally, because whenever we're going through any kind of a struggle, it's important that we focus on our mental health and do things to make sure that we stay in a positive frame of mind, and that we can use those tools and use the controls that we have for our minds, and make sure that we are minding the mental, not only on Mondays, but that we are minding our mental every single day. And so I want to thank all of you who have been coming, viewing the lives, those of you that have been going back and looking at them on the YouTube channel and have been commenting, that and liking and sharing, and all of that makes a big difference. So I really appreciate that. Thank you for listening. I am not where I want to be with YouTube subscribers, but guess what? I've got more. I feel like every week there's been more, that are being added. And so I am grateful for that. And so if you have not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, I'd like for you to please do that for me. It's Benita Weathers 329 at YouTube. Doesn't cost you a thing to subscribe. So please do that. I'd appreciate it. And also on the YouTube channel, view the videos, like them, share them, comment, let me know how they're impacting you on a day to day. I'd appreciate your feedback. All right. And if there's anything any kind of topic that you're interested in talking about, then let me know. And I'd be happy to do whatever research I need to do and bring it to you. The goal of Mind the Mental Monday, we understand that our mental health plays a major part in every aspect, every facet of our lives. And I know I've said this before, but when I first started Mind the Mental Monday, I was really sort of wanting to hone in on people who were caregivers of people with depression. And it has since sort of evolved from that to really just dealing with topics that that have to do with our mental health, on a day-to-day basis. And so every aspect of our lives, there's so much that goes on in life, right? And it's important that we maintain um, good, healthy mental health in the process of this thing called life. And so, just like our physical health, our mental health is something that we should be intentionally maintaining. We go to see a doctor. Hopefully, we go and see a doctor every year and get our physicals. We get our blood work done to make sure that our physical health is being maintained. That we can do the same thing for our mental health. There are specialists who's people who specialize in our mental health, and it's nothing wrong with going to them. And it's not only, don't wait until a crisis happens. We can, I see a therapist not because I'm in some kind of crisis, but because it really just helps me to have someone that I can talk through all kinds of challenges that I might be having. And sometimes they are challenges that have been going on throughout the years. And other times it's something that may have just happened that day. Like I could have had a great day and then something comes up and just changes that. And that, it's a day that I'm going to talk to my therapist, and I can just talk to her about all kinds of stuff, stuff at work. I mean, so it doesn't have to necessarily be that you sustain some kind of mental trauma. Although if you have, certainly, it's important to seek out those health professionals that can help you to navigate those situations. But even for just everyday life kinds of things, issues that you might have with your children or your spouse or your friends or whomever the case might be, just needing another ear, somebody who is going to be objective and not subjective, somebody who doesn't know you and doesn't is not invested in the way that our close friends might be invested, that we if we talk to them, we're afraid of judgment from them. So having a therapist is good for all kinds of reasons. So I hope that you all are doing well. I hope you're starting off this March well. March is Women's History Month. And so I'm wearing my God's Women Lead shirt in honor of Women's History Month. Certainly, women have been a part of a very integral part of the history of the world. And so it's good to set aside time to celebrate that. So I'm celebrating that tonight as well. All right. So I normally do our check in with you. How are you? Let me know in the comments. Tell me where are you tuning in from and how are you doing? Where are you on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being I'm not doing well at all and a 10 being I'm doing really, really great. Let me know how you're doing. Where on that scale do you fall? Why are you there? If you're in a place that you don't want to be on that scale and you want to bump it up, try to assess for yourself, what has been going on, what has changed, what's different in the last day or two that is causing me to be on this low end of the scale, and what would make me what would enable me to bump it up to a higher part of the scale. And as I always say, you don't have to be a 10 if you're okay with where you are. You could be at a 5, but with all that you have going on in your life, with all that you have going on in your mind, within you and around you, hey, that 5 is like a 10 for you that day. And that's okay, right? So it's all based on kind of where you are, where you want to be, and what steps you're willing to take to get where you want to be. So tonight, I am going to talk about the topic for tonight is make the investment. Now, I'm not here to ask you for money. I'm not here to tell you to invest, to send me some money and invest in Mind the Mental. Although, if you want to do that, hey, I would love it. I won't turn you down. But that's not the point of tonight's topic. And I have to give credit to my husband who's already talked about suing me because the way I came up with this topic because he in church yesterday, my husband is all happens to also be my pastor. And he was doing some reflections, and one of the things he talked about was make the investment. And even though he was talking about it from a different angle than I'm coming tonight, it was like, oh, that's it. That's a great title for tonight. Make the investment. So I want to talk to you about investing. So before I get into the heart of the topic, I want to talk about what it means to make an investment. Like, what is an investment? So I'm going to give the actual sort of dictionary definition of investment, and then we're going to talk about the importance of investing in ourselves. So an investment is the act of allocating money, resources, or time into an asset, project, or venture with the expectation of generating a profit or gaining some benefit in the future. Now, we can invest in all kinds of things, and we tend to invest in the things that we think are important. And so, what are the things that make investing in something a priority? One, we have to think that it's something that's worth the investment, right? We have to think that this is, in order for me to invest in this thing, whatever it is, it needs to be something that we think will benefit us in the future. In order for us to invest in something, it needs to be something that we think is worth our finances, our time, right? We have to, it has to be something that we think is a good thing, something that we think is positive, something that we think might not only just benefit us, but something that perhaps will benefit our families, benefit our children, benefit our communities altogether, right? And so those are the kinds of things that we think about when we think about investing in something. If we think about investing in stocks, for example, we want to do our research on the companies that we're thinking about investing those stocks in. We want to see what kind of profit do they turn. We want to see, how what does their budget line look like from the beginning of the year of the fiscal year to the end of the fiscal year. We want to see how many years have they been in existence and how have they been able to maintain um, enough to keep them afloat for over a period of time. And so it's important for us to understand the kinds of things that we need to look into to decide whether or not something is worth our investment. But tonight, what I really want to talk about is making the decision that we want to invest in ourselves. And so I feel like there are, a lot of times that people might invest in other things. So they might invest in, their 401k. They might invest in a startup company. They might invest in a company that's already established. They might invest in their children and or, their spouses, their friends, they might invest in all kinds of other entities, but a lot of times people don't don't take that same energy to invest in themselves. And so I was sort of starting to think about what are some of the reasons that people don't invest in themselves? When you think about reasons for not investing in something, it's the opposite of what I just said. If you don't want to invest in something, usually it's because you don't think it's worth it. It's something that you're not interested in. It's something that you don't think will profit you at all, or it's something that you just maybe you want to invest in it, but you don't feel like you have the resources at the time, and you don't feel like it's worth your time to sort of figure out how to go about getting those resources to make that investment. And so a lot of times the reason that we don't invest in ourselves is simply because we don't think we're worth it. And that's kind of a hard um, thing to think about. But when you really think about um, reasons that we give for not making investments in ourselves, usually those reasons tend to be excuses, right? And we make those excuses because somewhere along the line we have bitten the poison pill or we've bitten the poison apple, or somebody has told us, has given us a narrative of ourselves that says that we are not worth it, that says that we are not valuable, that says that we won't become the thing that we want to become, or that says that we won't be able to benefit other people in our lives. So we have taken in those negative thoughts about ourselves and we've started to believe them. And when we start to believe the lie of what we can't be and what we'll never be and how bad we are and all of those kinds of things, we start to believe that we're not even worth investing to try to get to another level. We start to think that we don't have the intelligence, or we don't have the beauty, or we don't, we're not the right size, we're not the right shape, we're not the right skin tone, we're all of these things that we drudge up within ourselves that causes us to feel like we are lacking in value and that we are not worth the investment. But what I want to encourage you tonight is to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are worth it. You are worth the investment in yourself. And the reason that I know this as a Christian woman is because I know that somebody invested in me thousands of years ago before I was even an inkling in my parents' eye, who died on the cross for me and said and tells me even today that I'm worth it. He thought that we were all worth dying for, as Anthony Brown would say, right? And so it's important for us to then look at ourselves as valuable. Even for African Americans, like or people who are considered like minorities, understanding our value is so important because we just came out of Black History Month, and I was looking at all of the different posts around all of the different inventors and things that we never learned about in school, but people who made really valuable contributions. I mean, even the reason that we're able to live stream and do these kinds of things was because of contributions made by African Americans, right? And so if we go about thinking that we are not valuable, and this is not, this is not even about color. I mean, everybody has, even the people that we think don't have value, everybody has some kind of value. Everybody has some kind of purpose that they was put on this earth for that's different than what somebody else was put here for. Everybody has something within them that nobody else has, that nobody else can give in the same way that you do. And so that alone says that we have value. The fact that we are even here says that we have value. There's a reason that we're here, right? And so it's important that we grab hold of the notion that I am worth it. I am worth making the investment. Whatever that investment might be, I am worth it. So, um, the first thing is knowing that inherent in the idea of making an investment in something is the thought that this thing has value. Not only does the thing have value, but if I make this investment, the value will appreciate. That means the value will go up. That means the value will, at some point in time, um, go higher and potentially much higher than it is. And so we believe that when we invest in something. Now, sometimes investments go in the other direction, right? Sometimes we make investments and it turns out uh, maybe that investment didn't work out. But when we're talking about self-investment, those kinds of investments work out because they make us more conscious of who we are. It gives us courage that we may not have had before, even if we do something that ends up failing, right? It when we invest, even if it's something that doesn't appear to succeed, it's something that has taught us some lessons. It's something that allows us to fail forward, right? Because in the failing, we've learned some lessons that we can then bring over into the next investment, and then that investment will work. And so it's important that we understand that we have value, and that we are worth investing in. And so, in order to make the investment in ourselves, the first thing that we need to do is to know that we are valuable, to know that our value is great, to know that we are a one of a kind treasure. And if you know anything about treasure, if you know anything about art, you have these one of a kind. If you have like a one of a kind painting, that means it comes with papers. That means it's signed by the artist, and it is an original. And nowhere else in the world, nobody else in the world has this exact painting. Now, there might be some knockoffs, right? You might have some knockoffs, but it's not the real thing. You, my sister, you, my brother, are the real thing. You are not a knockoff. There might be others that might try, that might try to duplicate you, but they can never duplicate you. You are the original. You are one of a kind. You are a treasure. You are worth the investment. Because when you invest in yourself, then others will see the value in you as well. You know why? Because when you see yourself as valuable, you're going to walk as like a person who is valuable. And that's not to say that you're going to look down on others. That's not to say that you're going to be arrogant, but that is to say that you're going to be confident. That is to say that you're going to walk in rooms and say I belong here. That is to say that you know that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. You know that there is nobody else in this world like you. And you make no apologies for it. And so I have personally been on a journey because there are rooms that I find myself in where in the past I would kind of shrink and just, there are rooms with people who seem to be doing some amazing things and who are seem to be very successful at what they're doing. And I'm feeling like because I'm comparing myself to them, I feel like I'm not at the same level. But now what I have come to understand, and honestly, this is something I've come to understand in therapy, is that what I've come to understand is that somebody else's value does not devalue me. Like my value is not based on somebody else's value. Somebody else could speak to a room of 10,000 people, and I could speak to a room of 50, and that does not make them more valuable than me, right? I can encourage 10 people while somebody else has a platform where they're engaging thousands of people, but that does not make me less valuable. It does not make what I have to say less valuable. It does not make me lesser or lower than anybody else. And so I have had to really, and I'm telling you, y'all, it has been a struggle for me. That might surprise some people, but like it really has been a struggle for me. Certain rooms that I walk in, to have to walk in with my head held high and knowing that, hey, I belong here. I deserve to be here. I deserve this space. I deserve to be able to take up this space because I am one of one, just like you. Right? I am worth the investment. I'm worth the investment to tell myself that Benita, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Benita, God has put you here for a special purpose. He knew your purpose and knew you before he placed you in your mother's womb. You gotta know that God thinks that you're special and he thinks you're valuable because if he didn't think you were valuable, he would not have wrapped himself up in flesh, died on the cross, went to the grave, defeated it, got back up, and is coming back. That is how I know that I'm worth it. That I am worth the investment. And so I hope that each one of you that is watching this, whether you're watching it live or whether you're coming back on the YouTube channel, I hope that you understand that you have value. And your value is not based on what somebody else places on you. No, there's nobody else in this world who can define what your value is. Only God can do that. And God already did that in purposing you before bringing you here. And so I hope that you understand. So the first thing is that you have to know that you are valuable. Because if you don't recognize the value in you, then 9 chances out of 10, you will not make the investment in yourself. The second thing is, and I was getting at that just a second ago, is don't try to assess your value through somebody else's lens. You might be excited about something that you are called to do, and you might tell somebody who is you think that is your friend, and people make little snide comments. Oh, that's cute. Oh, that's cute, that little thing you're doing. Oh, you know what I'm talking about. People can can kind of make these snide remarks where it seems, they wanted to make it seem kind of like it's a compliment, but it's not really a compliment. It's really a comment made to sort of make you doubt yourself, make you doubt your abilities, make you doubt your worth. Oh, girl, ain't why you spending time on that? Why you wasting time, doing this thing? Ain't nobody's gonna come to that. Nobody's gonna support you in that. Well, you know what? Sometimes you might have slow growth, but the point is not how many people give you likes and loves and shares. The point of investing in yourself is to understand that no, regardless of what anybody else says or thinks, that you are valuable and that your value will not only benefit yourself, but your value will benefit others. And so once you sort of know and recognize that your value is great, and once you decide that you're no longer going to assess your value through somebody else's lens, through how somebody else seems to be viewing you, but you're going to look within and value yourself, know that God has given you has valued you, and know that therefore you should value yourself, then you must determine what you are willing to invest. So, what are you willing to invest in yourself? As you are seeing yourself as valuable, what are you willing to invest in your personal growth? Um, what are you willing to invest in terms of carving out time for yourself, to be with yourself, to be with yourself and God, and sort of understand, get to know yourself a little bit better, and get to understand who you are and what you're capable of and what your desires are and what your dreams and vision is for your life. What are what are you willing to invest? What kind of time are you willing to invest in reading, in getting to learn other thoughts, getting to educate yourself on different topics that you might find valuable to your personal growth. What are you willing to invest to make sure you're getting a good night's rest each night? What are you willing to invest in getting more education if that's something that's needed for something that you want to do? What are you willing to invest to learn a new skill? Like what is it? What are you willing to invest in yourself, knowing already that you are already valuable, but what are you willing to invest to turn a profit? So what are you willing to invest to gain something more in yourself, right? And again, you're not doing this just for yourself. You are doing this. A part of investing in yourself is that many of us spend a lot of times investing in others, right? In ministry and in all different walks of life, we spend a lot of time investing in other people. But in order to really fully deposit all that we can in somebody else, we've got to invest in ourselves. That's a part of filling up our glass, right? Not pouring from something that's empty, but pouring from a full life, pouring from a full state of mind, right? Pouring from and not even just pouring. So my example is a lot of times you have the example of like a glass that's full, right? And then it's in order for it to pour, it's picked up and tipped over and poured. But what I'm suggesting is that it's more of a glass that has a hole in the bottom, right? That's that's dripping water, but as that's dripping, there's some more supply that's keeping the glass full while the glass is supplying everything else. Um, and so, so that is that's more of what I'm talking about. When you're investing in yourself, it's like, if you're the glass, then your investment is pouring into you. And as your investment is pouring into you, you then have more to pour out and help somebody else to grow. All right. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. The how I'm envisioning that. Because I think that if you're pouring this way, it's you've got to then that's going to get empty, and then you've got to turn it back, and then you got to pour it back in. But what I'm suggesting is to maintain a steady flow for yourself so that as you're flowing to your community, to your children, to your family, to organizations you're participating in, to your job, whatever the case might be, that you are not depleting yourself in the process. So make the investment to set boundaries. Make the investment to set aside time. Kim says that studying the Word of God more, self-care and praying, yes, all of that is a part of making the investment because we all know we've all been in those situations where the minute that we decide we're going to set aside time, for to get in our prayer closet, that's the time where, somebody calls or some noise happens or, some distraction happens. And when that happens, and then, it causes us to come out of that. But we have to s- invest in ourselves. One of the main ways that we can invest in ourselves is by setting boundaries. And that is the hardest thing to do, especially for those of us who like to please people. And people pleasing is one that I'm gonna talk about. I want to guess for that one though. So that's coming. That actually was something that I talked about a while ago, but I want to go a little bit more in depth with it. And a couple of people have have asked me to do the topic on people pleasing. So it's coming. Okay, it's coming. Uh, I'm working on it. But so we have, but so setting boundaries is something that can be so difficult, but that is one of the number one investments that we can make in ourselves. That we have to say, when we set up that time for ourselves, listen, this is a time I've set to do this. And that's that on that. Now, I can schedule a time with you another time to talk to you or do whatever the case might be. But right now, this time is set aside for something that I have planned for myself. And I know that sounds selfish, but it's really not selfish because when you don't replenish yourself, then you're not able to really pour out what needs to be poured out to help others. And that's not, and then once you deplete yourself, you're not helping anybody else in a depleted state. You're not. So make the investment to set boundaries, make the investment to study the word, make the investment to have time set aside for prayer and meditation, make and study. Set aside the time to take a course that you need to take to gain a skill that you need for something that you feel like you're being called to do. Make the investment because you are worth it. You are worth the investment. I don't know who I'm talking to tonight, but I hope that I'm resonating with someone who has gone through life feeling invaluable, gone through life feeling like you don't have value, letting people walk all over you and allowing people to devalue you and allowing people to talk about you and bring you down. Hey, Reverend Tam, how you doing? I'm sorry, I'm just noticing you're there. Good to see you. But all of those times that you have allowed other people to devalue you, and as others are devaluing you, then you start to believe it. You start to devalue yourself. You are worth it. You are worth the investment to do what you need to do to build yourself up and to clean your lens. I've done the lens thing many episodes back in the probably the very beginning of Monumental Monday, one of the first ones where I talked about the different lenses through which we see ourselves. So go back and check that one out if you didn't see that one. But it's something that we do, and we look through other people's lenses at ourselves and without realizing that the only lens through which we need to be looking at ourselves is through the lens of our Creator, who created us in His image, fearfully and wonderfully, as I say all the time, because it's scripture. It's our scriptures teach us that. So I want you to understand that you have value, that you were worth dying for. That is the ultimate value. When you're willing to die for someone, that means you think that that person is more valuable even than yourself. So can you imagine that our Creator thinks that we are more valuable to Him than His own life on this earth? Like, can you can you even fathom that? Right? So that should tell you that you are valuable. And so when you know that you're valuable, you walk in your value. Again, not in arrogance, but you walk in your value. You walk knowing that I belong here. I belong on this earth. I'm not just simply taking up space, but I have value on this earth. I'm not just here by happenstance. I'm here on purpose. That is a part of um, making an investment in yourself to get to know yourself through the lens of your creator and not through everybody else's lens. And that is a part of setting up boundaries. That's another boundary is that I am no longer going to allow you to treat me like your trash can. I am no longer going to allow you to pour your garbage into me. So if that means that when you call me with some nonsense, that I'm gonna say real quick, listen, I'm not having this conversation tonight. Good night. Click. Don't act like I'm rude for doing that. But I will not allow you to fill me up with your garbage. I am more valuable than that. I am more valuable than a trash can. That is not what I was created to be. Are y'all hearing me tonight? Are y'all feeling this tonight? I don't know if y'all feeling it like I am, but this is something, this is work. Uh, I'm telling you, this is like years of work. that I've had to do for myself. And so I hope that it's helping someone else as well, that might be going through a period where you don't see the value in yourself. You feel like, and maybe you're somebody who had feel like you had some value in the past, and whatever you did in the past is no longer. Maybe you retired. I think people who retire kind of go through this sometimes, of trying to figure out what is next. What is my value now that I'm no longer doing whatever occupation that I was doing? What else? What else? I think it happens a lot with caregivers when whoever they were caring for is no longer here, when they've passed on, and you've all of your time has been spent caring for that person, and now that's not there. Well, now what? Right? And so sometimes we might think that, because we're not doing what we were doing before, or because we're not caring for somebody who we was caring for before, that somehow that now has devalued us. You know how when you get a new car, and as soon as you drive it off the lot, like the value, it depreciates in value. Sometimes we feel that way, that when we're not doing the things that we were once doing, that we are now not as valuable as we were then. But I'm here to tell you that that is a lie. There are different seasons for different things, and that you are valuable in whatever season of life you might find yourself. So for those of you who are, in that over, 65 range of age, or even for those like me in, my late 50s now, 56, and sort of looking ahead to the future, and sort of trying to assess, the what am I doing? Fortunately, I, I enjoy doing this. Like, I could just do Monumental Monday and go out and do workshops, and do speaking engagements like for the rest of my life, and I'll be happy. But that it would have to be able to pay the bills too, because there's still such thing as bills, right? That's gotta get paid. So, so you have to kind of maneuver in a way that will help you realize your value in whatever area of life you find yourself. And so when I'm at work, I have to find my value at work. When I'm doing Mental Monday, I have to find my value here on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. And I can't be concerned with, I can't, if my value, if I place my value in like how many live people are viewing, or how many people are commenting, or that sort of thing, then I would think that I'm less than. And my team knows that I have gone through that, but I'm over that now. Like, God put me here, I believe, to do these with intention. And that the intention is that it reaches whomever it needs to reach, and that whomever hears it, it gets some kind of encouragement out of it, and is able to maybe make some lifestyle changes that they need to make in order to enhance their lives. And I hope that I can encourage somebody to do that. And if I can't, if if it again, it might not be, it might not be 10,000 people, but if it's five people, I'm happy, right? Because I feel like I'm doing what I feel a calling, and a longing, and a passion to do. I'm really passionate about us taking care of our mental health. And one of the big, big things that makes us have not so great mental health is when we devalue ourselves, when we think less about ourselves than we should. And therefore we decide that we don't want to make the investment. And Reverend Tam says, Jesus said, where there are two or three, he is there in the midst. Amen. Amen. And that's right. And that's what I believe. And so, uh, but what I do understand is that even when there are two or three in the midst, when those two and three have Jesus in the midst of them and they go out and tell two or three others, hey, the word gets out. And so, that also makes me happy that to know that it'll get out, and so I am blessed in that way. So I want you to know your value, know that your value is great. You are a one of a kind treasure. And so I want you to walk in that. And because you are a one of a kind treasure, you will not, don't assess your value through somebody else's lens. Assess your value through the lens of your creator, because your creator created you on purpose and put you here on purpose because he believes that you're valuable. Um, and so if you haven't already, determine what you are willing to invest. What are you willing to invest? Put it in the comments. What are you willing to invest in yourself? Now that you know that you are valuable, now that you are not basing your value on what somebody else thinks through somebody else's lens, but you are basing your value on the fact that your creator put you here. What are you willing to invest in you? Are you willing to set boundaries, even with people that are close to you, even with people that you love, and that you might be afraid of what they might think if you set that boundary with them? Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to invest in your time with yourself, with God? Are you willing to invest time studying when you need to study? Are you willing to invest um, time to read, time to rest? Because that's something that a lot of us don't do. And in Women's Health Month, women in particular, really everybody in this culture, we don't rest. We don't, and we feel weird if we or we feel like we're being lazy if we take time to rest our bodies after we've been running like maniacs all week. To take a few hours out of one day to actually get some rest, we feel like we're doing something wrong. But no, are you willing to understand that you are valuable enough to rest? Do you understand that you are valuable enough to learn a new skill? That you are valuable enough to invest in taking some time to yourself? That you're not being standoffish when in those times that you need to just pull away to yourself. That's something else that I learned from Jesus. I said that last week in the 8 P's of pushing through pain. Did y'all see that one? If you haven't, go head over to YouTube. Please, please, please subscribe now to the YouTube channel. But that was one of them. Like sometimes you gotta pull away. Jesus did that. Sometimes he had to get away to himself, just him and the Father. And there's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes you got to find creative ways to do it. Like when I had my kids were young, and every time I needed some time to myself, here they come, and I loved them. But I would go in the bathroom. I wouldn't be using it. I would just be in the bathroom because I'm like, this is the only place that they're not going to bother me. But surprise, surprise, they still bother me there. They, they still knocked on the door. Mommy, what's taking you so long? When are you coming out? So sometimes we have to, we have to be creative in how we get that rest. Um, CC Short and Sweet. Hi, welcome. Um, I no, I'm not live on YouTube, but I always upload the video to YouTube the same night. So tonight in about a half an hour, it'll be up on YouTube as well. And all of my Mind the Mental Monday episodes are there. So it's just an easier place to go. Like if you haven't seen some of the other episodes, that you can go and check them out. But I do also keep them on Facebook and on Instagram. So you can just go to my page, any of my pages, and also just see the replay. But thank you for asking. Yes, but I do keep them on YouTube so that they can all kind of be in one place and much easier to find. I hope you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Um, all right. And so the last thing was, once you've determined what you're willing to invest in yourself, make the investment. Don't sit around hemming and hawing. Make the investment. And you know what investment you need to make in yourself. You know, right? You know yourself. You know if you need to invest in therapy. You know if you need to invest in putting some time with yourself in your calendar. If you're somebody like me, like I have to put, if it's not in my calendar, then it's not happening. Like I have to, not only does it have to be in my calendar, but it has to be in my calendar with a reminder. And I always put two reminders. And it's usually, I do a reminder 2 hours before and then 30 minutes before, whatever the case might be. But that's just because I have to. And we do that for everything else. We have to do that for ourselves to set that time for ourselves to make deposits in ourselves. All right. So when we're pouring out, we don't want to pour out like this. We want to have our cup straight up with a little hole in the bottom, and we want to have our investment pouring into us continually as we are pouring out. All right. So that's it. That's all I got for tonight. Make the investment. Make the investment. Make the investment. All right. And I hope that you were able to get something out of this. I hope that you will go back and listen to the replay if you didn't hear the whole thing. I think there are some valuable nuggets there. So I hope you all have a wonderful evening. I hope you will tune in next Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be back live for Mind the Mental Monday. Again, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Benita Weathers 329. You'll see all the Mind the Mental Monday episodes there. And Kim said that she's eating better and is exercising. Excellent. That's an investment. Eat better and exercise. Yes, that goes right along with the rest. All of those things. There's so many different ways we can invest in ourselves. And I hope that you will make the investment. And again, you know the investment you need to make in you. All right. So I'll see you all next Monday. Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, as I always say. My kids are always like, what does that even mean? I'm like, I don't know. That's what the elders in my in my life used to say. Lord willing, the creek don't rise. So I just took that on, Lord willing, I'll be back next Monday, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Mind the Mental Mondays. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Benita Weathers, 329. All right. Good night, everybody. Have a blessed week. God bless.